All right, so let's begin. Ben, tell me a little bit about your background and sort of how you came to the world of strategy.
I was a police intelligence officer. And when I finished with that, I came to the United States and I went for an MBA in finance. And then I continued to a PhD in economics at NYU. And I became an economics professor at Rutgers University in New Jersey. And I was a young assistant professor earning, I don't know, $30,000 a year and looking at a lifetime of earning $30,000 a year with tenure. So I asked what kind of skill I can actually teach that people will pay money for. And I fell back on my only skill that I had from the days in the police. I was an intelligence officer. And I asked myself, do business need intelligence? That was 1981. The term competitive business intelligence wasn't in use at all. So doing some research about it, I found out, no, nobody talks about it. Nobody seemed to think it's important. And at the same time, Business Week magazine was looking for ideas for its executive seminar series. And lo and behold, they picked up my suggestion, and we suggested let's teach executives about competitive intelligence, how to gather it, what to do with it, because it makes so much sense that companies need competitive intelligence, and yet they don't do anything about it. And we started giving lectures, seminars on competitive intelligence, and it was a huge success. The real misconception is that competitive intelligence is about competitors. And that's one of the problems in many of the Fortune 500, in which competitive intelligence has been deployed or exercised as monitoring every minutia of competitor moves, which is a complete waste of time. It's not about competitors. The actual arena for competitive intelligence is what makes you competitive, what gives you the competitive advantage. Competitive intelligence is very simple. A perspective on where are the risks, what are the opportunities. And that's very different than information.
The topic that you're going to be speaking about, the panel you're on is about the role of leaders in strategy success. What are the things that you would absolutely want them to walk away from after hearing you talk about this subject?
When an executive completely and absolutely refuses to look at anything but his or her own beliefs, this is how things work, they are setting themselves and their companies up for failure. And they just go with their gut feeling, because this is the type of things that are considered cool. I mean, I have gut feeling. I have 30 years experience in the industry. I have gut feeling. The problem with gut feeling is that the environment might change and the gut doesn't. So the number one issue for me with executives leading to success is how much are they open to actually getting competitive intelligence or strategic intelligence in their company. So if there's anything I want the panel or the audience of the panel to walk away with is that a measurement of leadership is not just saying, let's go and leading the charge, but actually saying, let's go based on a reality check. This is the whole issue of what I call competitive blind spots, and I wrote a book called Competitive Blind Spots. It's the idea that they already know what's happening there. I mean, they've been there for a long time, and they get assumptions, and they get cognitive dissonance if their assumptions are proved incorrectly. And there are people with naturally big egos because they are very successful, and I can't blame them. But the problem with being successful is just like being successful in predicting the stock market. It doesn't really reflect what's going to happen in the future. So what's in their head is one problem. The other problem is that they are surrounded in almost every Fortune 500 that I work. They actually don't get any strategic intelligence because the communication is blocked. What they get is very filtered, very politically correct. They get what they want to hear. And if they're not really the type of leader that breaks those silos, they only get what will conform to what's already in their mind. And I can't blame the people who do it, because the people who do it want to, find favors with the leader.
As a CEO and executive that isn't open-minded, that's kind of a recipe for failure. And I'm just curious, in Fortune 100 companies, to what extent is that prevalent? Is that a fairly prevalent problem?
It is prevalent. But if you completely close yourself up to any different perspective, and you say, you know what, I have enough information. I know what I need to know. And there's no reality check along the way. If the attitude is, I'm just charging ahead. Chances are that you're going to run into some blind spots. But I can tell you one thing, and this is an example. The best executive I ever met in my life was a woman named Susan DeVry. So I ran a war game for her. She is the CEO of a company called Premier Health Care. And she runs a class act operation, and she is very distinguished, and they are the largest one. And when I ran a war game with her and her team, her style was unbelievable. She mingled with the people. She let them talk. She listened to variety of perspective. Even if at the end, she might have said, I like this, I don't like that. You could see that she was listening. And that was unbelievable.